Hi there, on a beautiful September morning, and we're at Blagdon Lake, which is an all-time favourite stillwater fly fishing venue of mine. Blagdon Lake opened for fishing in 1904, and it's seen 5 generations of anglers on its shores. And although there's been a massive change in stillwater angling during that space of time, Blagdon still remains unchanged, untouched. It's the seat of learning for stillwater angling in this country, stillwater fly fishing in this country. But look at the surroundings, look at the beautiful lake. It's a man-made lake, but it looks and feels and fishes as though it's a natural lake. Right back in the early days when Dr. Bell pioneered some of the early nymph fishing tactics on this lake, things like the amber nymph, the early buzzers, right through to my own humble effort, which is over 30 years old now. I actually was brave enough to write a book on Blagdon. I actually wrote it more to record my thoughts and my feelings for the lake for my son, but I got talked into turning it into a published book, and a lot of people seem to like it. Like everything else when you write a book, you wish you could go back and do it all again because things have changed so much. And whilst I, in my early days, was pioneering my dry flies and my small nymph patterns here, so too as the game now moved on, and we're talking about really ultra clever flies which have replaced it. But I'll bet you that most of those ultra clever flies actually somewhere along the line were at least born or thought of or conceived with Blagdon in mind. Blagdon's just over 440 acres, so it's a fairly substantial still water. The quality factor here, apart from the obvious benefit of the surroundings, is the hard-fighting brown trout and rainbow trout, which are put in by Bristol water. They attract fishermen from all over the world, quite literally. I mean, in the days when this was a UK-orientated sport, yes, the pilgrimage was made by every angler in England, but nowadays people come from all over the world to fish Blagdon because it is such good quality sport. So good, in fact, that we even held one leg of the 2000 World Championships here. We hit it just right in the month of June. Every fish in the lake was on buzzers, and I think you'll find that 300, 400 people from all over the world went away with very, very fond memories of probably the best stillwater fishery in England. So just to show you and underline the old worldly charm of Blagdon, come and have a look around this lodge with me, because this building, 120 years old nearly, stood the test of time, hasn't changed at all. Come and have a look at one of the nicest fishing lodges in England. Well, we're inside Blagdon Lodge, and as you can see, the most essential piece of equipment is this lovely old log burner here, which I can tell you on an early spring day or an early autumn day is very, very welcome indeed. More importantly, you can actually learn a lot by looking at the contour maps of the lake. You can see this beautiful old map where you've got all the different contour lines showing you how the bays work, the shallow bays, the deeper bays. Have a look at where the wind's blowing during the day. Before you even get on the water, you can actually have a fair idea, if you're in the boat, about where you're going to set your drift up, whether it's going to be across the lake, across one of these smaller bays, across top end, or if you're on the bank, where you're going to be comfortable, where you're going to have the wind behind you, or if it's one of those days where there's a whole lot of food items being pushed downwind, you can have a look at where it's likely to end up. So a lot of information worth spending 10 minutes in the lodge before you go out. What we're going to do today is to show you a really good mix of boat fishing and bank fishing, and we're going to cover the different tactics and the different styles of fishing you can employ on any still water in the land. We're also, because we're at Blagdon, going to try and show you how some of the old flies and the old methods have their way. This is the seat of learning, as we've already said, for some of the stillwater nymph patterns and the fine line techniques, and we're going to put those up against some of the new, modern, I call them slightly brash techniques, and see how they stand up. Blagdon is a whole series really of bays. There's all sorts of different sizes, different depths, some deep, some shallow. And when you're out on a boat, especially on a bright day like this, you want to spend a lot of time just simply drifting across these bays, nice and relaxed. I mean, it's going to take you 10 minutes to drift all the way across a small bay like that. But you never know, you're going to find some fish sometimes just on the reed line, sometimes you'll find them on the downwind bank, and it's all about prospecting, using a mix of tactics, using a few nymphs, using a few pulling flies perhaps, searching out the bays, finding the fish.
There you go, Chris, on the nymph. Beautiful. First Blagdon trout, Chris.
Your first ever Blagdon trout.
First ever. Taking a... Been round the world but never met Blagdon.
Best place in the world.
Never been there.
First, I think we might have to celebrate that with something liquid later on.
I'll go with that. Little cruncher, Chris. About a foot down. We're talking about the depth, the water temperature being high, but you often find fish in 2 layers. You'll get them in the top foot or the bottom foot, and this one took the cruncher within.
You've got 4 flies on, so you're covering a lot of depth.
Yeah.
And yet that fish, we've been thinking we've been too shallow.
Yeah.
That took the top dropper.
Yeah, it's there just for that first 5-6 seconds in the top foot or so, and then the fish hit it immediately. But the others, the cast is set up to be fishing 30 foot down, certainly not the top foot. So change your tactics, I think.
First of many, good information.
Of course, I don't come out for one. As you often get with some of these trout, he's taken the top dropper and he's swam through my leader, so I'm just double checking I've got no loops and knots left in it, which is a good little tip after catching a fish, is always just double check. See, there's a little wind knot there, look. Always worth a check. Rather I break it in my hands than the next fish and leave some flies trailing in it, which is never a good thing. Okay, we're all set and ready to try and get another one.
The temptation when you arrive on any reservoir bank like this is to wade straight into the water. Most people do it, they go out, they put their landing net in to stake their claim. Far, far better when you arrive, certainly on a nice soft morning like this where there's very calm water out here, fish the margins first. It sounds like one of those old-fashioned pieces of advice, but it really is true. Especially early morning, after a bit of an early morning rise, fish are going to be feeding into the banks, into the margins. If you wade straight in, you're going to disturb more fish than you'll ever see. Far better to stop here, right on the margins, and take your first 10 minutes fishing out the close-in fish, close-range fish. Yeah. All right then, let's do what we said we were going to do. We give our tips away, didn't we? So we're going to give some really good information in this DVD. Let's have a quick whip round on top tips, just to see what we come up with.
Sure.
I'll stick my hand up and volunteer first one. Looking at our fly boxes here on the boat, too many of them. Spoilt for choice. I've seen so many anglers over the years, competition anglers, bank anglers, everybody else. Thousands of flies. They look beautiful, they look fantastic. What's the truth? All the fish get taken on your top 12, dozen, 15 favourite patterns. Sure. I think you can confuse yourself, too many flies, spoilt for choice, too much time spent peering in the fly box instead of actually fishing. That's my number one tip.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, I'll go along with that then, Chris. I'll go second. One of my top tips is I like to fish imitative patterns, but with an attractor, whether it's on the top or the point. Typically it'll be something like a blob or a booby. Yeah. And you've got to be careful, if you're not catching on it, not to take it off. And then people tend to take them off because it's not catching, and then the catch rate slows down. So mine would be, if you're fishing nymphs, always fish an attractor with it.
Yeah, good tip, solid. Go on, boss.
Well, my tip would be slightly controversial compared to Iain's. I'd actually take all the colour off the cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, some days, Chris, you get a lot of fish coming for the colour, and you get a lot of takes and bumps and pulls. the fish want to chase something, but they don't really want to take that colour they've been caught.
Yeah.
And a lot of times just going straight to black or olive or even claret, you know.
Yeah.
And fishing the same flies, maybe a size smaller, but going for the darks.
Yeah, no, I go with that. Go with that completely. Yeah. Can I give you a really simple one? Absolutely simple one, and people forget about it. I saw somebody down there first thing this morning ploughing into the water like he was a bulldozer, and there's bow waves going out in front of him on the really, really careful wading. You catch a load more fish if you wade cautiously, carefully, even if there's nobody else around and there's waves and wind coming in. Careful wading, cautious wading catches more fish, no question.
It's a good one, Chris. Okay, second one, I would say it's more from a boat, is look for the wind lanes or scum lanes, whatever you call them.
Absolutely.
Tight water tension, the food gets trapped in them, and you'll see fish funneling through, feeding quite merrily. So if you're in an open, vast amount of water, look for your scum lanes, look for your wind lanes, and drift your boat through those. Massive increase in catch rate.
The amazing thing is nobody still, after all the technology we've all got, nobody actually knows what causes wind lanes, do they?
I was going to ask you, I haven't got a clue.
Also, I used to hear lovely stories about it was converging surface currents that did it, and it formed that link. But the bottom line is, if a fish is looking up and there's rippled, ruffly water, and then he sees a bit which is like crystal clear, he's going to go there, isn't he? Because it's clean and he can see things in it. So yeah, totally with you on that.
Oh, I go technical now. I go technical.
High-tech.
You know I'm going
Here
to
we go.
I count in sevens. I don't count in fives.
That's me stuffed.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, you get a 21 in 3 goes. If you get to almost 30, you get a 28 in 4 goes. So when you're fishing sinking lines, you can very quickly cover a lot of depths, which would take me 6 goes to get to 30 on a 5-second count. And I'm just getting there quicker. It just breaks
I do
down,
like
saves a bit of time.
I can see me getting distracted, but I like it. Yeah, I like that. Very good. Yeah. All right, let's go. Seeing as you're the great caster in the world, I'll give you my ideas on casting, which is totally controversial as well, isn't it? Far, far better, even on a bank of a reservoir where there's high pressure, lots of pressure on the fishery, on the fish, far, far better to cast 20 yards comfortably with good turnover, good clean presentation, than to forever having a casting competition with yourself and trying to get that elusive 30 yards. I know we talk about the importance of distance, and I know it is important, but I still think turnover presentation far more important than distance.
Yeah, and there's a little tip there you can use. I know you use you pull back with the left hand. One of the things I do, Chris, you know, if you don't quite make it with a cast, just put the rod tip in the water. What that does is it anchors the back end of the line and forces the rest of the line to turn over. So if you can have a cast which isn't going to quite turn over, and you know it's not going to turn over, just dip the rod tip in, and it'll stop you from getting the tangle.
You did right. I tell you what, you've reminded me of another one as well, because when we're bass fishing on the beach, what I always say to people, no matter how clean the cast is, and it applies here on the lakes as well, no matter how clean the cast, always take 2 pulls after it's landed. That just straightens everything out. And if you're trying to lay an ambush for a trout that's moving up the bank, or a bass that's moving around the rock, if you do that, take 2 pulls, it just cleans up the leader, keeps everything nice and straight.
Yeah, straight in touch.
2 tips in 1.
Well done.
Hey, it's very good. And with that, looking at your sheet of paper, Chris, I can't think of my thing.
Continuity. Oh dear, dear, dear. Yours was prepare to change. And I hope we're only talking fishing here.
We're on a Friday night. Okay.
Go on.
Another tip then, Chris. You know, a typical day like this, it's hot, it's bright. You know, we've caught fish early in the morning, high in the water. But as that sun rises, the temperature gets up, the fish will tend to hit the depths. So don't stick with your same methods all day. Be prepared to follow the fish. Change your depths. Change your tactics.
You are brilliant at that, because you did that over in Garnfruth where we did the small Stillwater. You were changing tactics, flies, lines more than any of the rest of us.
Sure.
Gareth and I were too busy talking. You were just changing.
What else do I do that's a little different? Well, one of the things I love to do is when you fish with a booby nymph, which is not a nymph, but you know everybody calls it a booby nymph, is to put on a wiggle knot, put on a Rapala knot, so you get a lot of movement in the fly. If you look at the movement in that fly when it's attached to the line with a fixed knot, it's just not the same. And this thing just dances around. And I think especially when you come up on the hang and it's got that little extra wiggle, I think it's
how would you tie your wiggle knot?
I tie a Rapala knot. So it's basically a straight loop knot with a little double clinch onto it. It works a treat.
It's just free. It just swims, doesn't it?
It
naturally.
You've just got so much movement there. It just gives it life, you know, and just jiggles about. So they enjoy that.
Can I put my 2 pellets in to finish it off then, just to make it up to around 10? And the flies are important, vitally important, leader diameters, using the right stuff, all of it is. Ultimately, it's not how you cast, it's not the fly itself, it's the clever stuff you do with your left hand. Yeah. It's how you present it, it's how you put life into these little things to make the fish believe it's real. And I think the clever stuff with the left hand is often more important than the hard way distance casting with the right hand.
Yeah, I always think there's a fish following the fly every cast.
Believe it.
And you've got to believe it. And when it happens, it's not a surprise. It's intentional.
Yeah.
You miss too many fish, and you think if you're not thinking about it.
You do realise that we've set ourselves up there, don't you? Because having given this fantastic advice, all we've got to do now is go and put it into practice.
Good luck with that.
We're in trouble if we get it wrong.
As a competition angler, I've long realised that you can't perform every technique with a single rod. At Airflo, we understand this problem, and we've developed 2 new blitz rods that will help you perform better at your chosen techniques. For top of the water work, we have a 10-foot 7 weight, which has an incredibly smooth action. This smoother rod loads easily and allows you to cover rising fish more accurately. This smoother action also helps when fishing fine wire hooks or light tippet. You'll actually land more fish. At the other end of the spectrum, we've got the 10-foot 8, which is the real powerhouse of the range. It's got a much stronger butt section, which is perfect for setting hooks at depth. Really good when you're fishing your DI7s or DI8s at range. This extra power in the butt section makes it perfect for long distance casting, which is a key element of any sunk line fishing from boat or bank. The first thing you notice about the blitz rods are the incredible lightweight. Very, very light for a 4-piece rod. The next thing you'll notice are the high quality fittings throughout. They have a really nice black anodized reel seat. Very, very smooth, very, very functional. The same on the stripping guides. We've used incredibly lightweight guides from Pack Bay, just to further reduce the weight. And finally, we've got a high grade cork handle with a small extension butt to complete the deal. So with the Blitz 10-foot 7 and 8 weight, you have the ultimate pair of British made Stillwater fly rods.
We've got another fish here on the bank, Gareth. I know there's a lot of catch and release in some of the modern competitions, but I do like a nice fresh fish on the table.
Yeah, and it's important at the end to use a priest that's going to dispatch the fish quickly. This priest has got a good solid head on it, good weighty priest, is going to do the job quickly, and also it's got a non-slip EVA handle so you don't slide out your hand as you go to dispatch the fish.
If we watch Gareth now, he's putting out a really long line. The important thing is that he's actually putting out a long line with good turnover and clean presentation. Gareth's an absolute master at that. He's one of the best casters that I know. A lot of people can cast, not many can cast and fish. Gareth's one of those, and he's well worth watching. Well, Gareth, here we are, Cheddar Water on Blagdon, one of my favourite spots on the whole of Blagdon, actually. It's many, many happy memories here. I'm ashamed to say it's my first pilgrimage to Blagdon this year. I'm so wrapped up with saltwater fly fishing down in Cornwall, and I haven't been able to get up here, but it looks like we're in for an interesting day.
Yeah, it looks great, Chris. The water clarity is fantastic. You know, we've got this lovely early start, and brings back a lot of memories actually fishing this spot.
I've had some great fish here.
I had some of my first Blagdon trout just off the stanchion there, you know. Yeah. And you've got great access, deep water close in, lovely weed beds. I think we're going to have a good.
And nice thing about Cheddar Water, you can see what's going on too. You can see practically the whole of the lake here. And my dad used to sit on that seat up there, and he used to catch a few sedge flies for me, catch a few midge, and he'd say, that's what that is, that's what that is. And that's how you learn when you're a kid. You've got a good, involved parent, and he gets you into it, doesn't it?
Blagdon's so mature, you've got that great fly life here, you know, so you can always target insect feeding fish. You know, it's not necessarily crash and bang, but I'm not shy to crash and bang either. So
I think that's what's good about it, don't you? I mean, the maturity of the place, it looks like it belongs in the valley. It looks like a natural lake, even though it's not. It's a man-made lake.
Fishing the competition scene, you get on the bigger lakes and there's, you know, a lot of noise, a lot of hustle and bustle, and when you come here, it's just a total relax.
Yes, you're right. It's a chill out spot, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's never anybody just in your spot. You know, you can always find some quiet. You know,
There's
sneak
loads
into
of it.
Buckham, go up the top end. You know.
440 acres. I think it's about 5-something miles around the side, so there's lots of room. I'm going to do the traditional thing. I'm going to kick off with my preferred default choice floating line. I think it's going to be interesting today. I'm going to go traditional. I'm going to go on my old-fashioned style of nymphs and tiny flies. And it'd be interesting to see how it stands up against your modern tactics.
Well, all I'm going to do, Chris, to start is I'm going to go on a washing line setup. Ultimately, you know, the fish are feeding on insects. I'm going to have some little muskins and crunchers and that kind of thing on the droppers. What I will do is I'll put either a booby or a foam hopper on the point, something just to suspend it from the flower line and keep it out of this weed bed.
Well, we always say there's nothing genuinely new in fishing, don't we? But what the modern developments, and certainly on the flies development, are really just elaborations or variations on an old theme.
Sure, years ago you would have put a muddler on and greased it up. You know, now you can, with the fluorocarbon, you can go a little bit finer. You know, with this clear water, we're going to have to go fairly fine today to get these fish pulled.
Are you going to stay on the floater, or are you going to vary it a lot?
I think what I'll do, Chris, is I'll fish early, fishing close on the floater. As they drop off the other side of the weed bed, as the sun comes right up, then I'll drop off onto a midge tip or something just to bed in the flies, drop them down a couple of feet, and also vary the distance between the top drop and the flower line.
Right.
That's critical. You know, you're getting those weights right, and when you fine tune it and you get that level, you know, you'll catch a few fish.
Well, you're on the point of Cheddar Water, which is possibly my favourite spot on the entire lake. I'll leave you to it, and I'm going to go and catch up with Mr. Barr, because I guarantee he's doing something different down in the corner.
No doubt.
Guarantee.
Good luck.
Tight lines, mate. Well, mate, looking lovely piece of water here. I know you haven't fished Blagdon very much in the past. What made you choose this for a starting point?
Well, I've never actually fished here, Chris, so you know, coming to a new water like this, I've took advantage of the weather around me. I've seen we've got a good prevailing right to left wind pushing all the food in this kind of direction. We've got a nice dam wall there, that tells me we're going to have some good deep water. You can tell by the contours of the land. I always look at the contours, it's got a nice gradient slope. So, you know, I've let this go down a fair bit, and I've obviously got deep water in front of me. Deep water, sunny day is what I need. Prevailing wind bringing all the food. I think I'm on a winner here.
It's a great spot, actually. The thing here, I think, is water depth. You've got a lot of variety here. You going to stick with the floater, or are you going to bring the changes a bit?
I'll probably start with the floater and maybe go down to an intermediate dive feeder. I've got a washing line on, but I've got some good heavy nymphs on, so I'm going to be fishing this kind of shape. So the nymphs are going to be getting down 6-8 foot, just enough above the weed. The booby staying high, so I've got a good 8 foot of depth covered.
Right. Are we talking nymphs in my accepted understanding of the word nymph, or are we talking nymphs in your understanding of the word? Are they proper nymphs, or are they Iain Barr style nymphs?
Let me talk you through them. I've got a cutthroat cruncher on the top dropper.
Right, that's okay, I live with that.
I've got what I call a torpedo dialback in the middle.
Yeah.
Another cutthroat cruncher, my favourites.
Yeah.
And a little black booby on the point. Now the booby's representing some of the floating snails that are drifting by. I can see here in the weeds now.
So what they say about you isn't necessarily true then? You do fish proper flies?
It's all rumours.
Oh, that's okay. Fine, I'll live with it.
So you just landed a beautiful Blagdon trout, Chris. Was that on the new rocket rod?
It was on the 9 foot, and I absolutely love it already. I think it's spot on. I mean, cosmetics are dead right, nice simple black rail seat, but the action is lovely. It's smooth, it's clean and crisp. You can get perfect turnover with it every time. I can see that being my #1 choice for stalking bass down in Cornwall. But you've got a different set of requirements, haven't you, for competition fishing?
I have, Chris, yes. They've got a 8-foot competitor rod out, which will be certainly in the boat when I go fishing, but I do like the 10-foot 7/8 rod. It gives me the slightly softer tip, and it gives me a rod for every actual eventuality I'm going to face, you know, with the dries, the nymphs, and the pull and lures. I don't want to keep changing rods, so this rod for me will be doing absolutely everything.
Yeah. I think with 4 sections as well, you can put them in the back of the car and you can take it with you and it goes everywhere. Got for all seasons, something in the range for everybody.
Perfect.
It's really great, Gareth, working with you guys on fly line development. I know you've got your favourite with the 40 plus, and I love the Ridge Clear for my sea bass. But what are you going to tempt us all with next year?
Well, there's a couple of things coming up next year, Chris. A couple of new lines. We're working with a couple of guys in the States particularly. We work with a guy called Kelly Gallop, who's very famous for his river nymph fishing and big fly streamer stuff.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 specific tapers coming out under the Kelly Gallop name. And we've also just tied up with another guy called Bruce Chard, who's probably the #1 guide in the Keys. And we're going to be developing a tropical line with Bruce, and that's going to hit the market. But when you think about UK specific, 2 really key products there. One thing we haven't done for a little while is a crystal clear intermediate.
Fantastic.
I know me and Iain Barr think it's the way forward. Any opportunity you've got to put clarity between you and the fish,
Totally.
you know, we're just going to scale less fish.
You'll get my vote on the bass for that.
I'm sure we will. So that's one line which we're going to do. The other line, which is a bit controversial for Airflo, we're going to bring out the stretchy floater.
Shock horror.
Yeah. Well, you know, we've got a great floating line product with the Super Dry, and I just think it's time that we put that technology into a fly line that people are used. You know, if people like the stretchy floaters,
there is a case for stretch sometimes, isn't there?
Sometimes. Not for me, but you know.
Be interesting to see how that's received.
I think it'll be very well received. I think people will like that when we come up with the taper design. That I think everybody will enjoy that product.
Lots of interesting stuff in the pipeline there.
Yeah. But,
Mate, that was a nice fish. What did that take?
Took a cruncher, Chris. I'm fishing the washing line this morning.
One of my favourites.
Yes.
Can't be bad. I see you're actually getting out just to the edge of that ripple where it becomes the calm patch. Hell of a distance. How are you doing that?
Yes, well, first of all, that's always a good spot to aim for, is edge of ripples if you've got a flat calm.
I'm using the Airflo 40 plus midge tip, and as you can see, we've got a left to right wind here, and the midge tip bites in, slowing the flies down as they come across the wind.
Perfect.
Put that flies a little bit deep. It's quite a chilly morning, so it serves best of both worlds. Drops the flies a little bit deeper and anchors them out there longer.
So as well as the tactical, you've also got the 40 plus giving you the distance as well.
Correct, and it's
You're
key.
just achieving that little bit of calm water there.
Leave them out there as long as possible. Too many people tend to bring them in too quick away from where the fish are, and the midge tip bites in and holds them just where I want them.
Good advice, mate. I'll go and see if I can put it into practice.
Good man.
well, Chris, what we've got here is our new fly dry luggage. I got the backpack.
I'm going to issue a warning to you now, mate. If you let that out of your hands, they're in serious danger of not getting it back, because that's what I've been looking for years. But people like me who are not very keen on carrying a bag with me wherever I go, I like to travel light. I like to travel just the basics, like pack lunch, spare reels, twig fly boxes. That is what I've been looking for a long time. That is spot on.
Yeah, it's got this really cool roll top system.
You don't want it back, you're not going to get it back.
No, you know, for bank fishing it's perfect. It's got
Ideal.
really good padded shoulder straps, nice padding on the back as well. So it's really comfortable. So you could wade around with this on your back all day. I don't even notice, but these infill panels are not as stiff as the other material.
No, they're not.
So it makes it, compresses down nicely as well.
More user friendly.
Yeah, but ultimately all you want is your gear to be dry.
Fantastic. And totally waterproof.
Totally waterproof. As soon as you cinch down on the roll top, close him up.
Can I put my order in now?
Yeah, you can keep this one, Chris. I'll spoil it.
So this looks like the big brother version of the backpack then.
Yeah, this is the body bag. Yeah, it's got, again, completely waterproof. Got a big roll top, 60 litre capacity. You could fit anything in there. You could probably go for a day's boat fishing with this.
Yeah, easily.
Again, it's got the removable backpack system, so you can, padded shoulders, round the waist, and also these nice little carrying handles. Yeah,
That's great.
pick up and get a good hold on it. Again, this waterproof system is awesome, Chris. Just a quick roll, open up, quick roll, and you can see the air's locked in there.
That's a full-on fishing trip bag though, Gareth, isn't it? I
It is,
You
yes,
can take that as
it is.
that's an overnighter almost as well with all your fishing gear.
Yeah, you can get all, you can get your dry gear and get your boots. You could also use it for your waders
Brilliant
and
product.
keep the rest of keep the back of your car clean.
I do.
So, yeah, very good travel bag.
Ideal.
That's what we came here for. A lovely big rainbow trout, probably all of £3. Perfect tail, perfect fins. Bang on, I'm just going to put him back.
We've had a really great morning on Blagdon, on the bank, but as you can see the conditions have changed quite dramatically. We've got a bit more wind now, nice cloud cover, and because Chew and Blagdon are so close together and they kind of go together like Port and Stilton, and everybody has this conception of it almost sometimes as one fishery, we thought we'd come over and try the boats on Chew.
I think now we've got the cloud cover and Chew is renowned for the top of the water sport. I'm really looking forward to maybe some dry fly fishing or certainly some washing line with some hoppers, which I believe are working well. Conditions are perfect. I'm ready to go.
Sounds good. Well, as you can see, our friend and master Gareth, who is supposed to be helping us out in all of this, is already fishing at the back of his boat. So I think it's fair to say we're champing at the bit. So let's get going.
In front of me here, I've got the ever so comfy Tight Lines boat seat, which a lot of you will recognise. Well, what we're going to launch this year is a new upgrade clamp, which will make it even easier and much safer to attach to the boat. As you can see, we've raised the plate by about an inch. Raising the plate by an inch gives a much better clearance when you're actually spinning the boat seat around and doesn't catch or cause any damage to the boat. So, with one easy movement, it opens up the gate. You drop the boat seat on top of the boat boards, close up the gate again and tighten down, making it a very, very solid connection.
important when drifting on a boat, especially lighter winds when you're not covering a lot of water fast, is just to use the water in front of you by covering your different angles. And you've got 180 degrees there in front of the boat. 9 of it technically is yours. So you tend to put a cast down the middle, one across here, one there, and one parallel straight across from the engine. And you're just covering all available fish that are coming through your section of the boat. And it will pay its dividends. In fact, I can see one coming up the boat now. See if he wants to play ball. I can answer that, one word. It's no. Again, I put a line across the boat and that fish came down the middle. And on a different day, he might have had it. Keep that line nice and short. If you've got rising fish and you've launched a long line, you've got a line to pull, a lot of line to pull back before you can make that recast. But by keeping it short, fish rise in front, roll, release, and it's gone.
It's worth mentioning too, Ian, isn't it, on a classic lock-style drift like this, that you should be thinking not just of the castable water in front of you in your casting range, but keep your eyes 40, 50, 60, 80 yards downwind so you can get advance warning of what might be coming towards you.
Yeah, just scan beyond your casting range, that's true. Yeah. At least you know you've got fish coming up, and you can be looking maybe 80 yards across to your left, but 100 yards down you can see fish coming up, and just move your boat across. But yeah, it's a good point, just to scan beyond your castable range.
It's a bit like snooker players, they're always thinking 2 shots ahead. You should be thinking, if you're really alert, you could be thinking 2 or 3 casts ahead.
Yeah.
Give you a chance to lay an ambush.
Yeah, and it's a good point about scanning on what's going around you. There's so many indicators to being fish, whether it's fishermen catching fish, or maybe there's some cormorants diving, or grebes diving. Grebes which are there's minnows, where there's minnows there's fish, so just look on what's going around you.
It's awareness.
As part of the fly dry range this year, we've got a new reel case, and I like this one. It's got a huge capacity. I've got a dozen reels in here. I could easily change the compartments to accept maybe 20 reels, which is very important for us competition guys. Having this bigger capacity is also great for salmon anglers. Having much larger reels has got the capacity to take them. So if you're traveling, you can have all your reels and all in one place. Another feature, we've got nice zip compartments here for the tippet material, and also a little padded section here which opens up. I don't know, if you're traveling, you could probably put your iPad in there and keep it nice and safe. We've got good cloud cover, there's a few fish rising, and I've got on a buoyant fly on the point, small black blob, foam tail. I like the black in this water, it's not the clearest and it's going to stand out. I'm on a slow tip so it'll pull under a little bit and bed in. I got a couple of nymphs, or hoppers and the droppers, just something to park and slow up. When the fish come after the blob, hopefully they'll keep on coming up the cast and eat the nymphs, or scent dries. Pay a lot of attention to the hang. A lot of fish come in the last little stage of the lift off. How many times you've done it, lift flies out and there's a big bulge. Well, if you'd hung it there for a fraction of a second longer, you probably would have eaten the fly. Whereas a fish just boiled a little too close to the boat. Small fish. On the drop, on the drop. Don't know what he's taking. I suspect he's on the mink, but I've got a couple of small nymphs on the droppers. No, he's on one of the nymphs. Good fish. Good fish. Took that like a ton of bricks. Just dropped in front of him, lovely. Okay. What am I gonna do? There we go. Superb. Good start of the day. Whether you love them or loathe them, indicators are a very, very effective way of fishing. Our new airlock indicators are very easy to attach to the leader. They provide permanent buoyancy because they're just full of air, and they come in 3 great colours. On the base of the airlock you have a screw and a nut, and in that, within that screw it has a little slot where the nylon goes through. Drop your tippet into the slot, tighten up, and that'll hold your indicator jammed in place. When indicator fishing, it's important to get the correct depth. Very easy with the airlock system. Just unscrew, slide the tippet along a foot, tighten up again, and without any damage to the tippet, you've reset the depth. Airlock indicators come in 3 different colours and 3 different sizes, starting at 3/4 inch all the way up to a massive 1.5 inch for absolute bombs. You can use airlock indicators on river or still water just to give you a great indication of when a fish takes. I've gone pale pink blob on the point with a couple of nymphs, and these fish, even nymph back speed, they can't help themselves on the blob. They absolutely love to eat it, and they're just testing it with their mouth. They haven't got any fingers like the rest of us, so they put in their mouth to test it, and that's how we get them to eat the blob. And there you go with the barber's hook straight out in the net. If you see a fish and you can cast to it, it's definitely a fish. If you're just casting blind all the time, who knows where you're casting. And he just ate the fly and I missed him. Still there. Came. Try and get the next one. Another small range of boxes we're going to introduce this year are our Slim Jim range. Very lightweight plastic box with the slotted foam. This one has come with the little grooves in it, so you can put dry flies in there without damaging the hackles. We've also got a full foam version, which you can, which is perfect for nymphs. And then finally, we've got a magnetic version. Now the magnetic version, not only is it great for dry flies because they'll hold them in there without them blowing around, but I find that this box makes a great hook box, especially if you're travelling, you're off for a competition somewhere. You can put a nice little range of hooks in there and fits in your fly tying kit nice and easy.
This beautiful Chew brown trout fell to a dabbler, dibbling it just behind a sparkler booby on a slime line. The boobies are there just to attract the fish into the flies. Often they'll pursue the booby but not actually take it, but take the more imitative little dabblers that are sitting just behind it. Put up a brilliant fight. Fully finned, superb tail, and a cracking Chew brown trout. Change to a slime line now with 2 boobies on. Humongous booby on the point, a sparkler booby on the top.
and they're really attractors, but there are some fry feeders about, but what the fish are concentrating on seems to be the two black flash dabblers I've got in the middle, a little bit of red holographic in the wing. And I've had 7 or 8 fish now, and all bar one have taken the dabblers, but a lot of them have come to the boobies, but they're not nailing them, but it's certainly that water disturbance coming across the top that's drawing them in, and they're taking the slightly more natural looking patterns in the middle. It seems to be working. A lot of offers to the dries, but the advantage with these boobies is you can create some disturbance and pull fish in and that have risen, or pull in fish that are coming in, as I say, blind. And today it seems to be working in almost near perfect conditions.
As a boat angler, one of the most essential pieces of equipment that you'll take on board is your drogue. The drogue is effectively an underwater parachute that will slow the rate of the drift down, giving you far more control over your speed of retrieve or depth. Not only that, but if you're in a certain area where there are fish, the drogue will slow you down and keep you in that area longer, so giving you more opportunities to catch more fish. The Airflo drogue has a double point connection system, which not only stabilises the drift, but also makes it very easy to pull in when you move in positions. You'll find we've got real heavy duty attachments and coloured rope, making it really easy for you to see the drogue out in the water and make sure you don't drive over it. From the steel ring, you'll see we've got a real heavy duty webbing section. That goes down to a 25-foot square bag, which is the maximum allowed in international rules and is really going to slow you down. At the end of each rope, you'll find a carabiner, which makes it very easy to connect to the boat. Clip it back onto itself, and that's solid, ready to go. Our Airflo drogue also comes with its own carry bag, so you can put it away nice and neat and keep the rest of your tackle dry.
Oh, it's a lot softer over here. There's a fish there, look, Chris, yeah. Softer water. There he goes. How can he ignore that? Oh, he's hit it, he's hit it. He's on. He's on. Again, Chris came for the booby and turned and took the dabbler, I think. Again, that move back to the calmer water. It's paid dividends. Very lively, very silver. Nothing on the booby, and suddenly they decide they want a booby. Maybe on the fry back here, Chris, maybe?
I wondered about that actually. Almost worth killing a fish and spooning it and see.
Bit of a long leader, but as long as he stays in front of the boat and don't go under, like this one, it's fine.
It's always a trade-off, isn't it, with a long leader?
Yeah. Can't often bring you more fish, but you do if they go under this boat. But if you stick your arm out like this and steer him away and get his head up, and he's in the net.
Well, guys, we're coming to the end of what can only be described as a fantastic day on Chew and Blagdon.
Yeah, very good.
It's been wonderful for me. I haven't been here for quite a while on Chew, and the biggest revelation is that whilst your new method of flies are undoubtedly very effective, there's still a place for the traditionals and the imitatives as well.
Yeah, well, you've stuck with the imitative stuff, the more dries and the small nymphs. I tried a bit more modern with the sparklers, but that's just to bring them up the plopping boobies. But some more modern dabblers in the middle with a bit of red and flash, not like the old traditionals. And like you said, there is a place for your dry flies because you've caught as many fish. And of course, the dabblers and boobies have taken their fair share.
Yeah. But it's been fun doing it.
It's been
fun
awesome.
having a one-to-one on there this afternoon.
And the bow waves.
I haven't giggled for quite a long time about that as I did this afternoon.
That's par of course in the boat with me, Chris.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And from your side, Gareth, I mean, as ever, I am in awe of your casting abilities. But there's no question when I'm on the bank, there is a huge advantage to get some distance.
Yeah, sure, Chris. It's all about putting the flies in front of the fish. When they push out, you've got to be able to put the fly in front of them. And if they can't, you're just not going to catch them. Same off the boat. A lot of times in calm conditions, they just won't come in close enough. And if you've got that extra couple of yards, you're going to be able to put it on their heads. They're not scared of that distance. So they're not as wary and they're more likely to take the fly. So, yeah, it's a big advantage.
Yeah.
And something people can practice off the water, you know?
Yeah. You're absolutely right, Gareth. Well, technically, that means we're at the end of our day. And it's been an absolutely fantastic day on Chew and Blagdon. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I think the weather and the conditions have been really kind to us.
Sure.
I hope the guys who see this DVD will enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed making it. And I say, although technically we're at the end of the day, I can't see us going home yet because there's rising fish out there and the wind lanes are looking good. So I think we'll draw a line under the work part of the day and let's go and catch some fish for fun, shall we?
Sounds like a good idea.
It's been really great, guys. Enjoy the company as always.
Yeah, cheers,
Thanks
Chris.
a lot.
Thank you.